from your browser, go to MarketSoftOne.com. MarketSoftOne is a platform to manage farmers markets. You can manage all aspects of the farmers market. There are two sides to the application, one for the market manager and one for the vendors. We are going to go ahead and start going over the market manager side, which is the login on the left side. So go ahead and log in as a market manager. The first thing that you will see is the markets that you as a market manager manages. You can set up new markets or you can edit existing ones. We will go ahead and we will edit an existing market so that you can see the fields that you have to populate to set up a market. You have the name, you have the location, you have the zip code, then you have some information that you want to convey to the applicant or the vendor when they are applying to your market. This is some legal statement that you want them to be aware of. Then this is a message to prospective vendors, whatever you want to communicate to them. And then this is a message for applicants. Additionally, going down, you can add documents, upload documents that you want the vendors to see and to read. There are two types of documents that you can add. If you go ahead and click on the add button, you can either upload a document from your file system or you can specify a link of an existing document that you have already published online. And you can decide whether you make the document available to applicants, vendors, or also if you are required them to read it before they complete the application process. Applicant is someone who's applying to the market. Vendor is someone who has already applied to the market and you have approved. Going down, you have the vendor types. These are the vendor types that you accept in your market. These are custom vendor types to your specific market. The ones that you see here are the ones that I have set up for the demo, but you can set up new ones by adding them here, or you can delete the existing ones. So this is completely custom to your market, and you will put here whatever vendor types you accept with whatever names you want to give them to the types. Going forward, we have the market dates, pretty straightforward. Start date and end date of the market, and then subsequently the market days that the market operates, operating hours, and then you have the registration date. The registration date is important because only within the window that you specify in this registration date will vendors will be allowed to register to the market. Then you have the setup time, which is just informational for the vendors to know what is the time that they have to set up their stalls. Then you have the available spots. This is the number of available spots that you have available on the market. This is important because the software will use this during the stall assignment to determine how many stalls are available for vendors to choose. Then you have the maximum number of stalls, which is nothing more than a limit that some market managers like to impose on vendors as to how many stalls they can select for a single day. Then you have some information about parking, and then you have the stall sizes. These are the size of the stalls that you rent. Again, these are custom values to your needs. These are just the ones that I have set up for the demo. Then you have the prices. This is the price of the stalls, that how much you charge. You can charge per day or per season. Most markets do it per day. And as you can see, the first one for the 10 by 10 tents, you charge $25 per day. You can specify different types and prices, different prices for different vendor types, or you can just have one price for all vendors. Additional rentals, some markets rent additional things such as generators and tables. If you have such, you will specify those here. Application fee is a application one-time non-refundable application fee that some vendors have the vendors pay when applying to the market. Is beneficial to identify those applicants who are really serious about going to your market, as opposed to those who are not fully committed to being part of your market. Discounts. These are different type of discounts that you might have for your market. It can be based on percentage, and there are different types: perfect attendance, early, or other. Then going down, you have additional charges. These are any other charges that you might have, that you might want to charge the vendors that is not reflected anywhere in the software. Then you have the applicant questions. These are questions that you specified for applicants to answer. This helps you identify the type of vendor that are applying to your market, so that you can decide whether you want to approve them or decline them. Then you have PayPal information. This is nothing more than your market PayPal account or your market PayPal email. It is used by the software when vendors are paying for your market online. On the vendor side, we will see in a few minutes, when you are logged in as a market, you have the option of paying your market invoices online. And the way it works, once they click on pay, they get redirected to PayPal, and the payment is applied to this account that you specify here, so that the money goes right into your bank account. We do not do credit card processing. We do not store credit cards. We let PayPal handle all that for us. A statement is a statement that you want the applicants to agree to once they are applying to your market. And those are all the fields that you need to populate when you're setting up your market. Now let's go to the vendors. Vendors, this is where you manage your vendors. First thing that you can do is you can change the status. You can approve them, decline them, make them pending or waitlisted. Very easily, you just select the value that you want. I'm going to change this one from pending to approved, and automatically that vendor gets changed. When you do this, an email is triggered to the vendor saying you have been approved to the market. So you don't have to handle that communication yourself. The software will take care of that communication with the market throughout the system. And this is one of those instances. Additionally, you can add comments about the vendor, and you can edit their profile. You can see what they have specified on their setup, and you can even change it. And also you can click on vendor products, and you see the products that they're selling. Vendors have the option of adding pictures so that you can see their products in a more pictorial way, graphical way, that allows you a better understanding of what they're all about. Then proceeding, we're going to go to stall assignments now. This is an area where you will spend time on a weekly basis to manage your vendors. This is where you will assign on a weekly basis the stalls to your market. Basically, where in the market will each vendor be on that upcoming market. There is a map that we will create for you at no charge. You just give us a hand sketch of your market, with the stall numbers where you place them, and we will have our graphical designer create a map similar to this. This is interactive. You can click on it, and it will allow you to to assign vendors to that stall that you have clicked on. Additionally, you can assign stalls to vendors by simply going down on this list and changing the status and specifying which stall you are assigning to the vendor. So this is where you assign stalls to your vendors. Now, from week to week, sometimes markets place their vendors in about the same place with minor changes. So instead of you going through this process every week, you can just say copy assignments from previous dates. So if you click on this, it will allow you to select a previous date that you want, and you can copy those dates, and that way you just have to make adjustments to it. Additionally, once you have assigned vendors for that market date, one thing that you will want to do is tell them where they are. And to do that, you click on email map to assign vendors. And what this does, it will take you into the email module with those vendors pre-selected, and you just have to click send. And it sends in the link to your map, which I will show you in a second where it is. So I'm going back to the stall assignment. Additionally, you have the option to print the assignments for a specific market date. And if you click on it, a report will be generated. It's very handy because it gives you a list of where vendors are. Usually this report is used by market managers on the day of the market to walk through the market and make sure that everyone is where they're supposed to be, do attendance, and figure out who has and hasn't paid. There are other ways that you can assign stalls to markets. There is the multi-assign view, which essentially there are markets that assign the same spots to vendors throughout their season, and this way you can do it all within one time only assignment. You specify the day range. I want this vendor to be placed in this stall number for the duration of this date range that I specified. It will accomplish the same. Now, moving forward, I want to show you the accounting module. This is another module you will spend time on a weekly basis. This is where you see, who has paid you, who hasn't paid you, all the vendors with their amounts. Invoicing happens different ways in the system. You will tell us at what time you invoice your market. We can set you up for invoices to be generated to vendors the minute that they select that they request a date. We can also generate invoices after you have taken attendance of the market, or we can generate invoices for the vendors on a monthly basis. If you have any specific needs as to when the invoice is generated to the vendor, you let us know, and we will make sure that we'll account for that and make it work that way. But the bottom line is that the software will do the invoicing to the vendor. You don't have to invoice the vendor. It generates an invoice, sends an email to the vendor. The vendor goes online as a vendor with their credentials, and they can pay online. So this is where you see the invoices that have been generated by the software to the vendor and which vendors have paid you. Paid, unpaid. Now, for most markets, this is just a place they come to verify who has paid them or who hasn't paid them. Essentially, once they play, the vendor pays online using PayPal, their status gets automatically changed to paid, and there's nothing that you have to do. Software generates the vendor automatically. Vendor goes online, pays. You see it reflected here, paid. The only time you need to do something is when it is unpaid and you need to remind the vendor as to, you haven't paid yet, can you please pay? And you can click on send reminder. Or for those vendors that pay with cash or checks, they will send you a check. They will not pay it online. So you are going to have to update their status once you receive the check. You click on the unpaid, you specify the transaction, change into paid, and that way you have accountability for all markets on the same screen. Proceeding. You also have attendance. This is the place where after the market you will go and you will select, find one that has dates. You will say who has paid for that market and who hasn't paid for that market. I have to find one market here that I can see has any dates. Let me go to this market, just 1 second. Attendance on the street. It allows you to say vendor 1 came to the market and they paid for the market. Vendor 2 didn't, and so forth and so on. We will come back to that. Reports, this is where you see all your reports. There are different reports. Have the vendor look, the manager, as a manager, you just look through the reports and see what they do. And this is an email module that allows you to send an email to the manager, to the vendors. It's a convenience way. Instead of you going through your personal email, you can do it through this email module in an easier way. And then you have licensing. These are licenses that you require the vendors to upload for the market, or permits. So here, when you add a license, you specify the name, you specify some comment, which is usually where they can obtain it, and who it applies to. So on the vendor side, they will see it, that they need that license to provide you with that license for your market. And then once they upload it on their end, so the vendors see the request for the market for a license or permit, they go, they obtain the permit or the license, they scan that license, and then they upload it. And then you can see that they have uploaded it, and you can view the document itself that they have uploaded. So it's an easy way to manage licenses and permits. Now I'm going to go back to the markets, and I will show you two things. For each market, you have a market page that you can go to. This market page is a market specific to a page specific to your market for markets to log in. I'm just showing you now one for one of our farmers markets. We will customize that login page to match your website at no cost to you. That way, this is the URL that you send your vendors to register and log in with, and usually you put a link on your website to this page, and it looks like it's going to the same website, which actually is going to MarketSoftOne. So that's something that you will get. You will tell us what your website is. Our graphical designer will customize your market login page to match the look and feel of your website. Additionally, you have the map. Like I said before, this is a map that our graphical designer will create for your market. No additional charge cost to you. You just need to provide a hand sketch of how your market looks and where the stalls are numbered, and then we'll make a chart like this that is interactive, that can be managed interactively and online. This is a link that is available to anyone, and this is the link that you will send to your vendors on a weekly basis, saying if you want to know where you are located this week, just look at the map. I'm going to go ahead and make a quick change here. Now, 323. I wanted to show you the attendance. The attendance is where after the market has passed, you take attendance. Basically, you can flag vendors in three ways. It was scheduled unattended, it was scheduled and excused, it was scheduled and no show, and it was not scheduled unattended. Based on this criteria, some markets like to do their invoices. So once they take the attendance, those that were scheduled and attended, they invoice. Those that were scheduled and excused, they will not invoice. Those that were excused and no show, they will be invoiced because they didn't give notice, and that did not were not scheduled and attended will also get invoiced. So this is an important report for market managers. Now we're going to log out. We're going to log in as a vendor, which is the left-hand side. When vendors log in, they create their own registration, and then they log in. They have a dashboard with more explanation so that they can understand the software better. They go to My Markets. Those are the markets that they have applied to. They can see their application and make updates. They also go to Products, and they can manage their products, upload them, and upload the pictures so that you can see what the products is all about. And then that you can go to My Dates. This is where they will spend time on a weekly basis, because this is where they select the dates that they want to participate in the market. These are the ones that are yellow are dates that they have submitted, but they haven't paid for them yet. The ones that are blue, they submitted and they have paid for them, and they can select more dates interactively. When they select the dates, at the bottom they see exactly how much they will have to pay. They click continue either at the bottom or the top, and they will have the opportunity to review what they have selected and submit the selection if they don't want to pay it at that time, but they have the option of going ahead and paying for them right away using PayPal. I will go ahead and we'll click submit. It's done. If you have set up your invoicing that the minute they request a date they get invoiced, then when they go to invoicing, the invoice will get reflected here. This is where they manage their invoices and where they can pay for the invoices with PayPal. Just by clicking on it, they get redirected to PayPal, and the money gets applied to that PayPal account that you specified on the manager side. Licenses. This is where the vendors will upload their licenses. Those are the license requests that you specified on the manager side. Once they go get their permits or the license, they scan them and they upload them, and then you can see them on their side, on your side as the market manager. And then you have my profile, which is nothing more than the profile for them to manage their profile. And that's the extent of the software.